Dimpho FM.
Dimpho and the Catfish is described as a playful yet a powerful story for young audiences, tackling complex themes like online safety and trust. What was your primary inspiration for bringing this specific story to the stage for children and families?
So the main inspiration for this is actually my daughter. She has access to a phone, and one day I realized that on YouTube, even though we have these restrictions, in terms of the age and parental guidance thing, there are some videos that just pop up that are not for children. And so there's this channel, I don't even remember the name, but it's oh my gosh, you look at Barbie dolls when you watch it, because sometimes as a parent you're so busy and you just every now and then, and you see, oh, it's just Barbie dolls and everything, you're listening to it, it's just really, really playful. But one day I realized that she actually has knowledge in terms of childbirth. And I was like, where is this coming from? This child is only in primary school. She's supposed to be watching just Cocomelon on the phone or, those YouTube videos. And then I actually realized that on those videos, as much as the audio was saying something playful, the visuals were not. They were literally performing C-sections on those dolls, like the natural birth on the dolls. And I was just like, oh my gosh, even when you think you have protected your child, you still haven't. You literally have to monitor everything. And then I said, if my child is exposed to this at this very young age, I can only imagine what the other kids are going through. And I also understand, as a mom, I'm very empathetic, because we get so exhausted. Some of us don't have access to nannies. Sometimes you have to submit an assignment. For example, I'm a student as well, and you just need that moment to yourself. So how are you distracting them? But distracting them at some point is actually what the problem is. And so I wanted to start those very important conversations. It's very playful, but at the end of the day, it has to be very educational. And I want the parents and the kids to walk out and start having these conversations for the kids to understand where the parents are coming from, but also, most importantly, for the parents to also understand that just because we have access to these things doesn't mean they have to stop being parents. And the kids, just because you have access to social media doesn't mean you always have to use it, because it's not always kind. And so that's where the idea stemmed from.
Oh, okay. The play deals with sensitive issues of online catfishing. How did you ensure that the topic was handled in a way that is age appropriate and not overly frustrating or frightening for children, while still conveying the inherent danger of the importance of caution?
So I'm very grateful, because I came back to do my honors after 12 years of being in the industry, and I was like, I want to start doing children's theater. And in order for me to do that, I have to go back to where my roots are. Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh! Where my roots are, I studied here, and then for 12 years I've been in the field, but I've been more focused on themes of gender-based violence, for older children, 17 upwards. And I was like, okay, how do I then make sure that I have all the necessary, as a tree or as a seed, the nutrients that I need in order to be a great theater for young audiences maker? And so I came back here, and it was through the articles that I've been introduced to by my supervisor for children's theater, Mayor Annabelle, that I got to understand that we have this belief that if it's a children's theater production, it's perfect for every child. But through reading the articles and having conversations, then you realize that you have to be very specific. For example, Dimpho and the Catfish, 13 years upwards. Younger, I would say maybe 10 years old, because it's very wordy. So when you write, you have to make sure that you know your audience first, because that's going to determine the way you execute the show. And also making sure, there's also the articles that we've been reading on the taboo topics. And it, a lot of the writers make it clear that the topics themselves are not the problem, but it's how they are being executed. So you can still feel, for example, if we were to do Dimpho and the Catfish for an older audience, the language will be different. So honestly, it's a bunch of research, inspiration from back at home, and also having that guidance. And people like, for example, Mosa, she did her honors before me also in children's theater, and so I could, bounce off questions or things, concerns that I had. I remember even in the beginning, I was just like, isn't this too sad? Isn't this da-da-da-da? So having somebody there who's also read the same articles that I have, who's also been through the same processes that I'm going through, really very much assisted. And I have Dimpho here as well, who's like, I have a very capable and beautiful team that were always contributing. Dimpho is a lecturer here, speech and voice, but she's also been in the field. She has done children's theater, so I had that safe space, the sisterhood.
Oh, you know that feeling, the sound of your life.